With all of my training and knowledge of water quality, what did I decide to put into my own house? Well, I have access to literally everything. We call the channel Healthy Water and Air because of how passionate I am about air and water quality. So before I get into exactly what I installed, we need to take a look at what can actually be in the water and what is in most people's drinking water. So the first thing you want to look at is all the sediment, the sand, everything else that can be in there that are just your physical contaminants. Now, granted, most city water doesn't have a large amount of physical contaminants, but even down at the farm, they just recently upgraded the main water line coming through town. Otherwise, the water line, I believe, was 70 years old and it was leaking in multiple different places. Even when I bought the house, I didn't know this, but there were already 3 existing leaks in my personal water line, plus 1 existing leak on their side of the meter. And so you can get leaks, you can have sand, sediment, debris, dust, all the different stuff getting into your system. So the easiest way to remove that type of contamination is a sediment filter. Now, a sediment filter is a fancy way usually of saying something like a gravel setup. Marketing people will call it any number of things from red garnet to whatever it might be. All they're really talking about is the types of gravel that they're using to filter out the sediment. Next, you're gonna have your heavy metals. My farm is in a mining region. Again, not most municipal water will have heavy metals in them, but the vast majority of the wells that we've tested have heavy metals in them. And when I did first test it before the water line was replaced and everything else, it was showing heavy metal contaminants. So the easiest way to make sure you're removing your heavy metals is something like a KDF filter so that you can pull all those out of the water. KDF filters are known to filter out a number of other things, but one of the things they are the best at is heavy metals. Now we're getting into the stuff that's in almost everyone's water that are really the biggest concerns for most people. How your municipality is cleaning the water. Usually this is done with chemicals. Chlorine, chloramine. Some of the recent studies that are coming out are showing that the levels in the water are way higher than what is considered safe, and they're putting in far more chlorine than is necessary to kill what's in the water. I mean, one of my favorite examples of this was Magna, a city here in Utah, gave a boil order. A raccoon had gotten into one of the storage tanks, and they released a statement after the boil order saying, good news, there was never any risk to the public, no bacteria or anything got into the water, so you are good to go. And it kind of made me laugh because raccoons are called trash pandas. They are literally one of the most dirty animals, particularly when they're living in the city. And if a raccoon can fall into your water and you have so much chlorine in it that it never posed a risk to the public, then you are using a lot of chlorine to clean your water. Chlorine is known to have a myriad of side effects from cancer to everything else. And so a lot of people are using some form of carbon filtration. I remember I was probably 17 the first time an MLM contacted me. They wanted me to come sell their products, and one of their products was a carbon shower filter. And they told you, go home, try this out. You're gonna be so sold on this product, you're gonna recommend it to your entire family. And I put it in the shower and I was actually sold on how well it worked. What I didn't understand at that time, because I was 17, is there's so little carbon in that shower head filter that you're not able to remove chlorine for a very long time before you're having to change out that carbon over and over and over and over. When you go over to someone's house and they always drink out of their fridge, most fridge filters are strictly a carbon filter that is removing the chlorine, which makes your water taste so much better. It makes you feel better when you're drinking the water because of all of the issues that the chlorine and chlorine byproducts are causing. So next, you want to look at hardness. Hardness destroys all of your fixtures. It destroys your water heater, it destroys your faucets, it destroys everything. And so just to extend the life of your plumbing, a fairly priced water softener will end up paying for itself because of how many fewer plumbing repairs you're going to have. We have a lot of customers that never want a water softener and they're more than willing to pay for the repairs. And we love it because that means they're gonna pay us hundreds of extra dollars over the time they own their house than had they just put in a water softener. So we don't mind either way, but that hardness is going to destroy your fixtures. Now, along with that though, is what that hardness does to your body. So like your skin is the largest organ in your body. The hardness will affect your skin. My farm tested at 33, which is astronomically high water. And if you look at most of Utah, it's going to test 1.5 to 3 times higher than what is considered extremely hard water because of the fact that we're using so much runoff from our mountains and everything else. That hardness is basically just very jagged calcium, magnesium, and other offshoots of those that are causing it to hook to your pipes, hook to your faucet, causing the hard water stains, all of that type of stuff. So the easiest way to get rid of hard water is a water softener. Most water softeners are just an ion exchange. They're exchanging the hardness for sodium. There are a lot of people who are talking about water conditioners now. Every salt water softener is a water conditioner, but not every water conditioner is actually a water softener. Most of them, what they're doing, if they're using like citric acid or any of the other different versions, is they're just creating a chemical reaction so that they can take that very jagged, hard water and they can cause it more or less to be round and not cause the problems in your plumbing fixtures and everywhere else that you've had in other places. So then you want to treat for chemicals. One of my favorite sites is ewg.org. You can type in your particular zip code. It'll tell you what is in the water from your water district. And these aren't made up reports. These are the reports they are required to submit to the government. The government has their astronomically high levels of what they consider acceptable. And then you have what normal people would actually consider acceptable. And it tells you if you have contaminants in your particular city's water that are higher than what would be healthy. But the beauty of the EWG website, it'll walk you through it. It'll walk you through the health problems associated with each one of those chemicals. And your water may have 2 chemicals in it. It may have 22 different chemicals in it, but it'll be very specific to your home and your water district as far as what is actually in the water. Now, most of those chemicals aren't going to be fully removed with your carbon filter, with your KDF media, or any of those. Now, granted, the KDF media can help with many of those chemicals. So you want to put in some sort of reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis is one of the most common ways to filter water. If you look at most of the bottles of water you're buying in the store, if you read their label, it's going to say something to the extent of filtered through reverse osmosis, minerals added for taste. Because if you filter it down to 0 total dissolved solids or completely clear water, then it doesn't necessarily taste good. So they're usually adding back in some form of electrolytes so that the water tastes far better. And so that's why you're usually going to treat for chemicals with a reverse osmosis and a remineralizer. That remineralizer is vital if you want your kids to drink it, if you want everyone to enjoy actually drinking reverse osmosis water. So then you look at biologicals, all of the viruses, bacteria, the different organisms that can be living in the water, and how do you treat for those? Obviously, part of how the city cleans them is you just dump huge amounts of chlorine, chloramine, and other chlorine-related products in order to kill everything. At your house, you can have added treatment that is going to help ensure that your water stays clean. Particularly as you're filtering it, you don't want bacteria building up on your carbon filter. I don't know how many times I have tested fridge water and they've had high levels of bacteria in it because they never change the carbon filter in their fridge. And so that fridge actually becomes a breeding ground for the bacteria and everything else that wants to be in the water. And so what a lot of people will do is they'll come out with one way or another to treat it. You can put a UV light at the end of your RO to make sure everything's dead. If you have a big storage tank, you can do like an ozone generator that will kill all of the viruses, bacteria, all of that with ozone, and then it will dump everything back into the water. You can use KDF. KDF can help with some of them, and you can even use silver-infused carbon, which will help with some of them too. It is bacteriostatic. And so this is everything that can be in your water. So how do you actually treat it? The beauty nowadays is you can build right into your system that you want to put into your house, whatever type of filtration you want. I can fully customize it for what's in your water, what is at your house, so that you're getting what you need. So like what I did at my house is I used my first level of treatment was basically it's a 2 cubic foot tank. And you look at the bottom is my sediment filter. So that's filtering out the sand and everything else that can be in the water. Hopefully I don't have any of that now that they've replaced the water lines. And it's gonna run through my KDF. This is gonna, again, make sure that it's gonna lower some of the chlorine and chlorine byproducts, but mostly it's gonna remove the heavy metals. It will treat some of the chemicals and everything else as it runs through my KDF. Then it's gonna hit my silver-infused carbon. Now, granted, my silver-infused carbon is bacteriostatic, but I am mostly using it so that I can filter out the chlorine, the chloramine, the other things that they're using to clean the water, and that I can make make my water clean enough that I'm willing to shower in it. So then it's going to hit my water softener. Now, most people don't realize this, but your water softener is just going to be more efficient the smaller the resin beads are. One of my competitors, they sell a huge amount of water softeners and they claim they're ultra high efficient, but then you open up their resin beads and for every one of their resin beads, you could get 20 or 30 of our resin beads in the exact same size. And it's because you can design these however you want. So you can claim it's high efficient, despite the fact it's only more high efficient than say golf balls, or you can actually have super high efficient resin beads that are gonna be so small that if you were to dip your pen into our resin, you're gonna have hundreds, if not thousands of beads stuck to the top of that pen. And so I have my water softener sitting there, my brine tank off to the side, so that all of that is happening and all of that water is going into the house, it's going out to the hose bibs, both the hot and cold, and it's going out to the RV pad because I wanted the RV pad to also have soft water. Like if I have somebody coming to visit me or whatever it might be, I want them to be able to shower in soft water. Then from there goes to my kitchen sink. And yes, I am aware I am a brilliant artist. I can probably sell you a print of these if you want me to. Just kidding. I know I'm terrible, but my RO is installed just on the right-hand side. It's all self-contained. It has all the filters built into it, the RO membrane built into it, the remineralizer built into it, and then the UV light at the very end. So all I have to do, mine has an electronic head. I just tap the button, my water starts coming out. It actually tells me the TDS levels. The TDS levels are total dissolved solids. That is how many minerals it added back into my water after it took it down to 0. Or in the case of my water, even with an RO, it's gonna leave it at about 2, just because the water is so bad coming in that even though I've run it through all of this, it is still going to have a little bit after it's gone through the RO membrane, which is fine because I'm adding some minerals back in anyway so that I can have water that actually tastes good in addition to making me feel good. A lot of people ask, yes, my wife has bought us a ton of stainless steel tumblers so that we can drink directly from those so that you have no risk of getting microplastics from any of the different methodologies. But this is the water quality system that I put into my house. And I put it in because it takes care of each of the different types of contamination that are in there so that by the time it gets to me, my water is amazing. And the health differences that I can feel when I'm able to drink my water filtered exactly the way I want it versus having to drink city water are ridiculous. And if you haven't had the chance to try really good water, come over to the farm, give me a visit. I'll fill up your stainless steel tumbler. We'll see what we can't do to help you understand why this matters so much. We're gonna do a whole bunch of videos on how the plants react to the different types of water. You're gonna be dumbfounded to see some of the things we're gonna show you on the farm. Irrigation water versus actually filtered water. And if plants and trees and grasses and all of that are reacting to it, how is your body reacting to it? If you have thoughts, comment below, or if you have questions on water quality, ask them. We'll reply to every single comment. We will do our best to make sure that you are taken care of no matter where you are, even if you're not in our service area. We want to make sure you have really good water. Thanks. See you in the next one.